It is 6 a.m. and developing right now on Denver7 News. The nation is watching and waiting.
We are working feverishly to get all of that counted.
In just hours, we expect critical new updates in the race for the White House.
President Trump and Joe Biden remain neck and neck, with the outcome reliant on a handful of states.
When the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners.
We're going to win Pennsylvania, but they're trying to cheat us out of it.
But an already divided nation is at risk of deepening the wounds regardless of outcome.
The division goes away if Biden's elected.
Plus, new COVID restrictions are going into effect soon in Denver. The only question, how severe will they be? And that's a scary thought. A lot of COVID fatigue right now out there. Good Thursday morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Molly Hendrickson. Glad to have you here with us. If you liked yesterday's weather, get ready to do it again. Lisa's in her home weather center with a check of our Denver7 forecast.
You are so right. It's a repeat. Well, it's now going to be a four-peat this week. Temperatures are going to be well into the 70s again. Beautiful this morning. This is from our Viero camera there in Brush and out across the Eastern Plains. It is going to be a very bright sunrise. Yesterday, we broke the record high. Today, we're starting off this morning in the 40s and 50s. Very mild again with a lot of sunshine. It's going to be a bright eastbound drive and temperatures that are going to get pretty close to that record high. Record high today is 77. We are going to stay warm through Saturday, but still tracking a change for the weekend, mainly Sunday into Monday. We'll detail that and when you're going to get a little snow in your neighborhood coming up.
Still a really quiet drive here around Metro Denver. I'm not seeing any big problems just yet. This is down south of Castle Rock, the northbound side, southbound side of I-25. What a difference a day makes. Yesterday, southbound was a mess. It is looking pretty good right now. On the northbound side, we had that closure here in Larkspur, but I'm seeing traffic move along just fine. Take a look at the overall map, and you see a lot of green out there. Just starting to see more traffic building on 270, I-70, I-25, but no major issues going on or off the highway system, which is a good way to start off this Thursday morning commute.
With the stress, anxiety, and now frustration growing nationwide, the 2020 presidential election remains undecided as we head into another day. Vote counting does continue, and we should receive more information this morning from election officials in Nevada. That's one of the remaining key battleground states out there. The Associated Press has Joe Biden's Electoral College vote tally at 264 this morning to 214 for President Trump. ABC News has Biden's total at 253 because they have not called Arizona for Biden yet. That's because about 400,000 votes still have to be counted in that state. Biden currently leads by 69,000 votes. In Nevada, Biden's lead is just 8,000 votes, but a clearer picture will be made available at 10 o'clock this morning. As we move to Pennsylvania, President Trump leads by 150,000 votes, 20 Electoral College votes up for grabs there, but vote counting may not be done until tomorrow. President Trump also leads in Georgia by 23,000 votes and in North Carolina by 76,000 votes. If Joe Biden holds on to win Arizona and Nevada, that will bring him to the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency.
And the Biden camp is staying optimistic that the race is still in their hands. During a press conference yesterday, former Vice President Biden said he sees victory ahead.
I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners.
President Trump did not speak publicly about the election yesterday, but he did remain active on Twitter. Yesterday afternoon, the president sent out this tweet claiming victory over Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. He went on to say he would also claim Michigan if there was a large number of secretly dumped ballots. There is no evidence of that claim right now. It's been flagged as misleading on Twitter.
Well, those claims have only caused President Trump to file several lawsuits. The administration wants the Supreme Court to intervene in Pennsylvania specifically and to halt vote counts in Michigan and to safeguard against late arriving absentee ballots in Georgia. Political reporter Joe St. George joins us from our nation's capital this morning. A long 48 hours for you, Joe. But what should we expect now as these cases, these lawsuits, have to run their course?
Well, you know, it's very interesting. Good morning, Brian. What we're seeing in Pennsylvania and in Georgia, two states where the president is ahead. But this morning, if you're waking up in Metro Denver and you're starting to Google the latest results, you know, his lead has shrunk quite considerably from where we were 24 hours ago in Pennsylvania and in Georgia. What we're not hearing from the Trump campaign is any message about attempting to stop the vote count in Arizona. As you mentioned, the AP called Arizona for Joe Biden. ABC News has not called Arizona for Joe Biden. And President Trump believes that as more of those ballots come in, he could actually win the state of Arizona. It's going to be a big day. I think the biggest time frame we should all be on the lookout for, about 10 a.m. Colorado time. Nevada's going to release a big update with their results.
And Joe, and looking ahead to who controls the Senate, Colorado obviously went blue and flipped a red seat, but it looks like the Senate will remain in Republican control. What does that mean for whoever wins the presidency?
Boy, Brian, that's a great question because if the numbers hold as they look right now and Joe Biden is president come January 20th, and Mitch McConnell and Republicans control the United States Senate for the next 2 years, you're going to have, to some degree, some divided government. And there will be a lot of progressives out in Colorado frustrated because big pieces of legislation, climate change legislation, that would not get through a Mitch McConnell Congress. However, there may be some room for compromise on issues such as immigration, for instance. But it would be almost looking like a divided government if Republicans hold the Senate.
Joe St. George, live for us in Washington this morning. Thank you.
Denver police say 8 people were arrested in protests through downtown Denver last night. Air Tracker 7 was flying when flares were thrown and thin blue line and Trump flags were set on fire. Denver police say windows of some businesses were broken and they recovered several guns and knives. And it could still be days until we know the initial results of the election. And when those come down, you can count on Denver7 for the latest updates. You can find those on the denverchannel.com or Denver7 for your Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, or Android device.
Things are not getting any better in our state's fight against the coronavirus. This morning, new numbers from the state added almost 3,000 new cases yesterday. And we have a graph to show that has health officials concerned. It shows the number of hospital beds in use. Look how much it's gone up. 970 are currently in use, and you can see that is just about how many we were using at the beginning of the pandemic. We have team coverage on the response to the coronavirus surge this morning. Eric LUPHER is live with details on more restrictions coming for several metro areas. Eric.
Good morning, Brian. The mayor's office here in Denver saying pretty much nothing is left on the table here. There's a lot that could happen at this point. Could we possibly see a curfew go into place? It's a possibility. There could also be more restrictive measures when it comes to gatherings, things like that. The bottom line, the city just does not want to see a stay-at-home order return. That's the main goal. Mayor Hancock's spokesperson, Teresa Marchetta, told our partners at the Denver Post that the mayor, quote, desperately does not want a stay-at-home order, end quote. The city says social gatherings continue to play a big role in the COVID-19 spike, and there's still the concern of asymptomatic people bringing the virus home to people who are more vulnerable. It was just before Halloween when Denver regressed to safer at home level 3.
If you contract this virus, at that moment, you have no way, zero, of knowing if you will have mild symptoms or if you will end up being put on a ventilator.
And more restrictions are coming to Boulder, Broomfield, and Jefferson County in the coming days. They are moving to the color orange on the state's dial system. What does it mean? More restrictions. We'll dig deeper into that coming up in the next half hour. I'm Eric LUPHER, Denver7.
Yeah, nobody wants to see another stay-at-home order. Thank you, Eric. Today, the city of Golden will discuss extending its mask mandate to the beginning of December. Jefferson County could soon have tougher restrictions as well. Denver7's Nicole Brady joins us from Golden High School. And Nicole, there is a change for schools, too.
That's right, Molly. This week, the state, under its new order, declared schools critical businesses. So what that means for schools is they can decide how to operate. The districts can decide for themselves what to do, even if there are growing cases in their communities like we're seeing in Jeffco. Jeffco Public Schools, for example, said this week that even though Jeffco is probably going to get bumped up to a level orange, high risk, the school district believes they can still safely keep in-person learning going. That is the opposite of what what Denver Public Schools said last week when they decided to send home all grades except for kindergarten through second graders. So state officials are really leaving this up to schools, but the state health department did acknowledge yesterday that in elementary schools, COVID transmission does not seem to be as problematic as it is in high schools.
Specifically, if you look at transmission in our younger students, the case numbers when we see outbreaks occurring in schools are smaller. We're more likely to see staff that are involved in those outbreaks.
Speaking of staff, I have seen many teachers expressing concerns on Facebook pages about the rising COVID cases in their communities. On the other hand, we've had parents very concerned about their kids being sent home for remote learning. They want their elementary students to be in person. So a lot of tough decisions here. Jeffco Public Schools again saying they're not making any changes right now, but Cherry Creek Schools told families this week they may be going back to remote learning. We're live this morning. Nicole, Brady, Denver 7.